Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. The first chapter is doing really well right now, and I want to kind of do a video to just talk about what it means for Lorcana and look at the price trajectory and things like that. The first chapter, in terms of sealed product doing well, I think is very healthy and points to the direction of where Lorcana is going. While I do not believe that like current set box prices is indicative of the success of a game, I actually refute that to a certain degree. I do think when you look at a historical set that is out of print, something is as significant as the first chapter. I think there should be some positive price correlation there with people coming into the game, the game growing interest, right? Whether that's as an actual trading card game, as a collectible, right? I expect both to grow significantly in the future. And so seeing something like the first chapter, this iconic set, really start to get some solid price appreciation now that it's out of print, now that it's out of circulation, I think really gives us a clear view of what's to come with Lorcana, assuming Ravensburger continues to deliver at a high degree. When we look at something like a first chapter booster box case right now, there's only one listing on the market for 1,600, which, to be completely transparent, just happened right before I started recording this video. Family Game Night listed this case. Beyond that, we're at a $2,000 floor for cases, and there's only 10 cases on the entire market for TCG Player. 10 English cases. That's it on all of TCG Player, and that's with it. That's the fact that it's escalated in price here as of late, up 20-30%, and that's significant. The fact that it's really starting to become go into like collectors' hands who are just like flipping this thing consistently. Now, look, every time you go up in a price bracket, there's going to be people who take profits and offload it, whatever. Right? It's going to come back down, turn back up. We know how all of this supply and demand stuff goes. But the fact that it's out of print now and is constantly kind of seeing this up into the right trajectory really does paint a clear picture of the success of Lorcana as a collectible, as well as the game growing. We're getting into these DLC events. We just had our first DLC. We've got DLC in Milwaukee coming up here in a couple weeks. The player base is alive and well, right? Set champs are firing off. We've got new promo cards coming out. Like everything's rocking and rolling in the right direction right now, and I think we're seeing that as a result in the first chapter. And once again, when we look at new sets like Fabled, Reign of Jafar, etc., like those box prices appreciating like just shouldn't exist in my opinion this soon. Like they're brand new products, right? The game pieces need to be available to the players playing the game. Lorcana doesn't have collectors boxes and premium collector box and all these different things. We just have booster boxes. Booster boxes have our enchanted cards, our iconic cards, our epic cards, but they also have the playable cards, right? And in order for this game to continue to do what it's doing, the players have to have the cards. That's just a fact. And so the fact that these, especially Fabled, it's kind of stayed at this 140 to 150 price point forever. It got down to 120 for a little bit, and I was expecting to get down to 100 like every other previous box did, but it's not looking like it's going to. It's still sitting at 140 to this day, a month and a half after release, or whatever it is, a month and a week, and we're just not really seeing any sign of it coming down. Now, we have seen expected value begin to drop. It's down to about 127, if I'm not mistaken, and so I think that there's still some room for the box price to come down. I hope we continue to get more and more of a supply of it, because I do think that there has to be enough game pieces for the people to actually play the game, right? We have to get some good amount of Dumbos, where Dumbo's not a $70 card, which I don't think Dumbo is anymore. Let's take a peek here really quick. I believe Dumbo's down to around 60 last I checked. But let's take a look at our single cards here. Dumbo's at 58. So yeah, right around 60 market price. So that's probably a pretty healthy price for Dumbo. Once again, rarity exists for a reason. It's a great card. If you want to be good, you got to pay to play. That's any hobby, right? Cards are no different. But everything else across the board has really remained very consistent. Things like Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard. Like, I love what this card represents. This card is not used in the game at all. It's not being used. But It's very, very cool. It's very collectible. It's an awesome card, awesome IP. Winnie the Pooh as a brand is a massive IP. People don't understand how popular Winnie the Pooh truly is just as an IP and its value. It's a massive brand. I believe it's even bigger than like Disney princesses, if I'm not mistaken, according to the last chart I looked at. I could be wrong on that, but it's like for sure top 2, 3 behind like Mickey and then princesses if it's behind that at all. So massive brand, not being used in the game, brand new Enchanted, and it's still sitting at $182 this far into the release is really really cool. And honestly, like the cheapest Enchanted being 77, we've typically got Enchanted at this point down around like 50, maybe even sub 50 in some cases, right? So once again, this was just it was really really cool to see them turn this leaf in terms of superior design, superior selection, superior rarity tiers, all these things kind of working together to give us a really really good product. And Fabled, which I do, once again, I do hope that the box price comes down, because 140 for a brand new set just is a little bit rich for my blood. I think it obviously speaks to the health of the game and the amount of people that want it. But at the end of the day, I would personally just like to see it a little bit cheaper. It's a brand new set, right? These like, and I think, a lot of this is happening in Pokemon where a brand new set like, Destined Rivals or whatever is like a $500 booster box. Like that's not good and that's not real. Like that stuff isn't sustainable. And I know it's very taboo to say that. And obviously people watching my channel are not here for the Pokemon takes. But at the end of the day, that stuff isn't good, right? We need to be able to get these boxes in people's hands. I mean, 140 is manageable. It's MSRP. I would just like to see it, a little bit less. Moving over to an individual booster box for the first chapter. We're sitting at about 365 right now. You've got one box available at 365, and then I think you've got quite a few below 400. I say quite a few. It's about 8. In total, there's 228 boxes on the market, but once again, keep in mind that does include the alternate languages. So you look at 4, 10, 11, 4, 5, 3, 27, 26, 79. That's, that's 150, 200 boxes right there. There's not that many first chapter English out there, right? Like, all of these sellers that have the first chapter listed, it's one box at a time. It's 2 boxes at a time. One listing here from MTG Mega Deals for three boxes. There's just not a lot of boxes on the market, right? It's kind of 1 or 2. And now that the supply has gotten this low, that's when we can start to see the price appreciate at a very significant rate. And that's why you see it go from 220 up to 400 here pretty much, just in the span of a few weeks. And that can continue to happen as the collector base continues to grow and as more people become more interested in Lorcana as a collectible. Once again, while I refute the fact that a brand new booster box, you need to be doing well to speak about the health of the game, I don't think those two things are correlated. And I think that if you just have this thing turn into like a scalper deluxe, then it's ultimately gonna ruin the game. You have to be able to build a player base and a passionate collector base at the beginning. Can't just be this secondary market goes to infinity, as soon as it's printed for the game to succeed long term. Great for short term gain and profitability, but not good for the health of the game. But now that we know that the first chapter is out of print, right, and it's continued to escalate in price, it just points to the health of an overall collectible and trading card game. And while I'm excited to see it, I would be a lie if I said I am not ready for Lorcana to be any sort of like mainstay like collectible, right? In terms of like, the Rudies or these big whales getting involved. Like I've got trophy cards that I want to go out and get that, like, if Lorcana does, hit this, this powder keg of continued game growth, continued collectible growth, as when I'm hearing Ryan Miller talk and these different things are happening, like I feel like everything's pointing in the right direction, but I'm not ready for that, right? Like I've got a lot of goals that I want to meet. I've got a lot of cards that I want to add to the collection, but I've also got 3 young kids, a wife, a family, a house, cars. Like I've got a lot of expenses. Being a dad of 3 young kids, it's not for the rarity, right? I make good money, but don't have enough to go towards worthless cardboard as I would like. So I've got goals to get. So I hope Lorcana stays on the back burner. Obviously, I created this channel to talk about Lorcana, share my experience with you guys, hear your guys' experience, look at the cards you're collecting, hear about your goals, your pulls, etc. And I've absolutely loved it. But I'm not ready for it to I'm not ready for the first chapter booster box to be $500, right? Once this concept is proved out and the first chapter booster box hits 500, and then we know for certain that Floodborn is going to be reprinted and it starts hitting 200, 250, like the cat's going to be out of the bag. It probably already is to a certain degree, but I think we're still in just a fraction of the overall like popularity Lorcana could have, and not to say that it's going to be a Pokemon or a Magic or anything like that, but in terms of just what the overall potential popularity of Lorcana could be, this is we're barely scratching the surface, which is exciting, and I just hope that time doesn't come too fast. I'm hearing, as I'm trying to chase down these trophy cards, I'm hearing a lot of like Asian buyers becoming very interested in things like that, which would definitely not be good for my collection, as I would be getting priced out of some of these cards that I feel like are at a very, very good price right now, which is kind of crazy, like a good price for a trophy card of a game that's 2 years old. That could be argued, but nevertheless, as I'm trying to kind of get some of these things behind the scenes, hearing some of these buyers I'm competing against, just not ready for that yet. So, nevertheless, the first chapter doing as well as it is right now, and the fact that I don't really see any massive pullbacks coming, barring some sort of black swan event or catastrophic event in terms of like recession, bubble popping, whatever. Like Lorcana's growth has been very steady, very I would say like organic and true, in terms of like it just growing with its natural fan base of these people. We've read so many stories on the channel of people going on these cruises or whatever it is, just coming in touch with Lorcana somehow and then becoming a massive fan of it, right? And I feel like that's the right way to do it, right? It's not to just these people who are chasing money and hustling and grinding and using trading card games as their side hustle, like that's certainly a thing, right? And it's probably not going away. But at the end of the day, growing an organic fan base who just loves the game, loves to collect it, loves the cards, etc. That's the path for success for Ravensburger as a company, for us as collectors and people who enjoy the game. And I just feel like they're doing it the right way. Slow and steady wins the race. And, with the first chapter, we're at $365 a box or $1,600/$2,000 for a case in terms of TCG player pricing. And I don't see a world now. Look, on the case level, paying $2,000 for a case right now, unless you're putting it away and you've got a long time horizon, I probably wouldn't suggest it, because that's a pretty steep increase in price here as of late. I mean, a case was going for what, like $1,200, a few weeks ago. Let's see here. So I know I'm not sure my screen, but on September 15th to September 17th, it's telling me that a case was selling at 1,083 was the lowest. So like it's doubled in price in 2 weeks. Like, look, I'm not telling you to go out and pay that. The likelihood that we see that come back down to that 1,500, 1,600 number, probably pretty likely. But at the same time, like, we know that this isn't getting printed anymore. We think, right, at least I do, think that Lorcana is going to continue to grow. And so the total addressable market of people who will want that box down the road is probably a lot greater than it is today, right? And that's going to lead to supply and demand issues and just very traditional, market activity, in my opinion. So definitely wouldn't pay $2,000 for a case today. That seems steep, but that might be 6 months from now, that might look like a steal. I don't say any of this to get you to FOMO into the first chapter or anything like that. Obviously, full transparency, I own these products that I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, it's just exciting to see a set that we know is out of rotation, purely just a collectible at this point. Expected value is terrible. It's like $90. I think it's actually close to 100 now. Elsa's gone up a little bit in price. Some of the first chapter enchanteds are going up a little bit in price. That's what I'll be very excited of, like when these cards become collectible to a certain degree. Now, obviously they are collectible. Obviously they've got, it's a set that's 2 years old and it's got, a bunch of cards that are over $100. Like that can't be, that's not nothing. It's you know, when Elsa's back up to $1,500 again for a raw copy, and we've got, you know, Maui and Tinkerbell and, you know, all these, you know, Aurora and these various princesses and everything. You know, even like Aladdin, Simba. Some of these cards are so cool to me, and they just don't have a market premium. So once other people like me love these cards that have to go out and get them, you know, that'll be another level of excitement whenever the singles begin to you know, pace with the boxes a little bit. So yeah, so that's it for today. Just feeling very, very happy with Lorcana. Feeling very, very excited. Glad that we've, you know, stayed through the thick and the thin. And you know, it's funny. Once again, I continue to see like old names come back now that things are going well, which is just always interesting. You know, these people who are chasing. You know, chasing the hype of Pokemon. And like, to be fair, that's where a lot of people who sell me their collections, they're like telling me like, hey man, like Lorcana's slow. Like I want to go to Pokemon. There's a lot of money there, which to be fair, I mean, go for it. Right. If like, I love Lorcana, I've said it a million times, this is the trading card game for me. But if you have more fun with Pokemon, then so fair, you know, fair play. But sell me your Lorcana to go buy Pokemon all day, like, and I hope everything works out for you. And then, you know, when Lorcana has a bull cycle and it takes over, then you can come back and buy your collection back at, you know, 4 times the price. I don't know, but these people, is just, I'd say that just because it's so easy to tell these people who just only go where the crowd is, and they're just kind of like the crowd moves here and then they kind of like filter in behind it, and then the crowd moves here, they filter in behind it. They're just kind of moving back and forth to wherever like the cool place is to be, rather than just like finding a passion and loving something and just like investing your time and your money there. So much better. But nevertheless, thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate you all. We'll be back with another video soon. Goodbye.